Welcome everyone to another deck spotlight with the Shiv. Alright, so today we're going to take a look at the Budget Control Priest. Awesome deck. Okay, so the meta right now is polluted with so many freaking hunters. And Zoo as well. Zoo will never go away. But hunters are all over the place. And what makes Hunter really dangerous is their early game. See, if they can establish an early game, they can beat you down with it, and then once you finally get to your clear points, then they have their mid game, which is very difficult for a lot of decks to handle. You know, with your Savannah High mains, the occasional Cult Masters, things of that nature. It's very difficult. Now, Priest has been doing relatively good with multiple different deck designs, one of which is your basic control Priest. Can actually wipe the crap out of it. It also knocks the crap out of Zoo, and in many ways can take on Warrior Control, which is like the hard counter to a lot of what's out there right now. So it actually balances out pretty decently at about 60% against most decks. It does have like a horrible matchup against Shaman for some reason. I don't know. But it does. So let's take a look at the Budget Priest. Now, I call this a Budget Priest because it only has one legendary. Its total crafting cost is actually under 4K. This is extremely unheard of. Most control decks are like 4,600 to like 10 grand or even 4,200. But 3,400, that's like dirt cheap in terms of Hearthstone. So let's go through it. Circle of Healing, Injured Blade Master, Aki Soul Priest combo, and in some cases maybe with Wild Pyromancer, or if you want to get like a super pull off your Northshire Cleric. Other than that, yeah, those are the only things you use them for. Silence is a tech card in this meta, used on things like Mad Scientist, Undertakers, Nerubian Eggs, things of that nature. Things you don't want becoming a problem. It also works really good in conjunction with Wild Pyromancer, as does Holy Smite, as does Power Word Shield. And because you're using a lot of Wild Pyromancers, having a Northshire on the board means you're going to always be able to get a card draw from healing it back up. So just remember that. Shadow Word Pain. This is another very unique tech card, and I'm actually surprised we don't see more of it in the meta. This knocks out Sludge Belcher. This knocks out pretty much all the annoyance that we get in the early games from like Death Rattle shit. Knocks it out. Acolyte of Pains, you don't get a card draw. Armorsmith, you ain't doing shit. Alright, so it's actually a really good tech card. I think we're actually going to see more of this pop up in Priest controls lately and in the future. So, alright, Wild Pyromancer. I kind of explained how all this is really cool with it, so I don't even think I need to go through that. Shadow Word Death, because Giants exist, because Ragnaros exists, because killing your own Sylvanas to take something of theirs instantly is hilariously fun. And, you know, Loatheb, I guess, but I don't really care to actually kill Loatheb that way. I can think of much better targets I'd rather save this for. Alright, Thought Steal, because taking your opponent's shit and beating them with it is so much fun. Seriously, it is. Dark Cultist. Solid 3/4 body, works very well in this. You can get that +3 health on the Injured Blade Master, get it on the Wild Pyromancer. So many things can benefit off of it very nicely. Sludge Belcher, yeah, you get this on a Sludge Belcher, it's a 3/8. That's a really difficult without a silence to get through. Alright, Injured Blade Master, because it works in Priest, and it's always worked in Priest, and it's always going to work in Priest. I mean, we all know why it works, so moving on. Shadow Madness. Again, this is one of those newer tech cards that's been popping up in the meta over the past 2 seasons. Shadow Madness allows for a lot of very interesting plays. You got to be careful if you're ever Shadow Madnessing a Wild Pyromancer, though. It could lead to some interesting oops moments. So be careful with that. But it's really cool. It can grab Sludge Belchers and slam them into Loathebs. I love doing that. Grab Harvest Golems, which we're not seeing used as much anymore for some reason, and slam that into something. And oh, look, you get the 2/1. Use it to grab their Loot Hoarder and get the card draw. Use it to grab their Acolyte of Pain and, you know, smash it into something and get the card draw. You get the point. you could get a lot of value out of this, and it's just a great tech card. I know a lot of other classes like Warrior Control hate this card because it causes a lot of problems with how they set up their games. So it's always fun. Arcanine Soul Priest, again, Circle of Healing. Being able to ping something for 2 damage is actually really cool and can cause some hilarity in so many different instances. But you got to be really smart when playing this. So keep that in mind. Holy Nova, because AoEs are fun. Combine this with Wild Pyromancer, and Haunted Creeper no longer is a problem. Alright, Sludge Belcher, because it's in every other goddamn deck in this meta, so why not this one? I mean, I could give you logistics of, you know, it's a solid 5-drop and defensive body, it slows down tempo, blah, 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 blah. No, it's just, it's all over the place, might as well have it here. Alright, Holy Fire. It's damage and you get health back to your face. That's pretty freaking cool. It's a great way of taking out Loatheb, great way of taking out Flame Elemental so you don't have to use Shadow Word Death. Very rarely are you ever going to take it to their face because you only have one. So you're going to want to be real picky of where you're using it. Alright. Cabal Shadow Priest. Again, same reason why I love Thoughtsteal is why I love Cabal Shadow Priest. Against Warrior Control, taking their Armor Smiths, Acolytes of Pain, and then you having them and getting value out of them is huge. I love actually getting a Sludge Belcher down and then grabbing with a Cabal Shadow Priest next turn his Armor Smith. Because you just get so much value. And then when he goes to attack with the inevitable setup play of the Frostbite, oh, look at that. Yeah, sure, your Sludge Belcher gets reduced to a 1-2. Your the Shadow Priest goes to a 4-4. And the Armor Smith you just grabbed goes to a 1-3. Sure, but guess what? You just gained 3 armor off that whole exchange. That's amazing. So, it's actually possible to gain a bunch of armor because of Cabal Shadow Priest, and more armor than the actual warrior. I've done it a few times. I've ended the game at 15. Alright. Sylvanas Windrunner, the only legendary in this deck. I could have put Loatheb. I could have put a couple others in here. Ysera, I do have them. But I kind of found that Ysera, against a lot of the aggro-y decks, you're never going to get the value out of it. Loatheb, I wasn't facing enough Druid or enough Miracle Rogue to kind of really feel safe of having Loatheb. Yeah, it's a great card. It stops kill commands and things like that on curve, and it's a solid 5/5 body, and you're most likely going to get to hit with it to the face for 5 damage. This is true if you get it on curve. But when it came to Priest Control, I was finding that I was never getting an opportunity to really use it to its max, and it never came on curve. So I started seeing what would happen if I played without it, and the deck actually did pretty good. It was going up against all of the decks I've listed and actually holding its own. It even went into a fatigue match with a Paladin. Yes, fatigue match with Paladin. And it came out on top by the skin of its teeth, but it still won. 22-minute long match. Alright. Now the last card should be classed as a legendary all its own because it's just that powerful, and that's Mind Control. I don't agree it should be 10 mana. I think 9 or 8 would have been perfectly fine, but, you know, everybody complained when it was 8 originally because they would carry 2 of these in the deck. But now at 10, you're only going to carry 1, and I think that's the desired effect that they wanted. However, I still think 10 is just way too much. Making a legendary spell or just creating a whole new subset that you can only have one of these special type of spells like Mind Control made a lot more sense. Too bad that logic never carried over. Anywho, so why is Mind Control in this deck? Really? You haven't figured this out? I like taking people's shit and beating them with it. Hello? Seriously, I should have been a repo man. A lot of classes hate Priest because of this card. Ysera, use my bitch because of Mind Control. Garrosh, I will take you and I will use you. You could use this to grab pretty much anything. And in many cases, if you've already established board domination and all that, they're going to try to throw out a taunt or whatever. You just grab that as well. All right. If you've already way ahead in the lead, you don't have to wait for that special target. Just grab like the next big thing they put out to kind of slow you down. It's like, no, you're not getting that. I'm just going to keep on pushing through. All right. You have to be careful when using this on Ysera. There's a general rule: whoever plays mind control first loses. There's a reason for that. If they play a Ysera first, you're going to mind control. If you don't have a mind control to follow up on that, well, you're screwed in many cases. But you always have to assume that your opponent, if they're a priest, has mind control. So he who plays mind control first generally loses. But it's a strong card. Warriors hate this card with a passion. And you can get a lot of great effect out of it. So keep that in mind. And yeah, that's pretty much the deck right there. It's very cheap, 3,400 dust. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just want to get Wild Pyromancers, Northshire Clerics, and some of these starter cards right here to work the Wild Pyromancer up. You're going to want to maybe get a Thoughtsteal and Dark Cultist. Those are other great ones to have in your early game. Against control, not so much against aggro. This will actually backfire in your face a lot. But, yeah. And you use the early AoE's heal combo with Northshire Cleric to kind of establish board control, keep it down to a minimum, get your card pool built up, and then you go into a more tempo trade in your mid game, and then just complete total domination from mid to late. Against aggro decks, if you get Circle of Healing, you're not going to be using it with Injured Blade Master. I know you all would love to have that turn 2 Injured Blade Master coin 4/7 on the board. Yeah, here's the problem with that. Hunter says Freezing Trap, go fuck yourself. And look at that. So much wasted right there. Mr. Shaman goes, oh, Hex. Next. Wasted. So you're never going to get that value off that against aggro decks or against Shamans. So pretty much Circle of Healing becomes 100% Akanai Activator. So keep that in mind. You're going to want the board wipe against those like aggro and Shamans. You need it. It's desperate. I can't even express that enough. Against control decks, yeah, the 4/7 is going to come in huge. But getting it early against aggro, no. Just no. Unless it's Warlock, and then expect the Soulfire and, you know, the Flame Imp to basically trade into it. And, yeah. But still, you think about it, that's a 3-to-1 card, so it really does earn its value there. But for the most part, against Hunters, no, you're never going to get its value. So, all right, that's the deck. That's the build. Check it out. There will be a link to the deck build over on Hearthstone. I will have it down in the description. Thank you very much. Don't forget to check out Mr. Noxious's channel and Twitch. Every Tuesday we have Mechatorp's Workshop, where we're literally inventing brand new cards, you know, just because we're bored, and what we think that would be cool in the meta, or what we think the meta could use. And we build a whole bunch of them, and then let the audience pick which one that they would like to actually have in the game. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of people seem to enjoy it. Check that out. Also, check out Deck Talk next Friday. Sorry, BlizzCon delayed this one. But check out Deck Talk next Friday. And yeah, if you like this, like, subscribe. I'll see you guys later.